I'd like to start by asking you to imagine what you might plan if you knew you were about to have your last ever meal with your friends and family. It would be really important to make sure all the right people were there and that you could impart something meaningful over the course of the meal. As we look at this passage and join Jesus and his followers at their last meal, we get a real sense of the gravity of the occasion, an atmosphere of apprehension as something significant is about to take place. The opening and closing verses provide this context. Jesus announces as they recline at the table, "I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer, for I will not eat it again until it finds its fulfillment in the kingdom of God." And later in verse 21, he explains that his betrayer is among them. The disciples may not have fully understood the significance of this, but Jesus certainly knew that his suffering and death were imminent. So what he imparts here is of great significance and utmost importance, and he announces the new covenant. Mirroring the events of a typical Passover meal, he breaks bread and shares wine, rituals that his followers would have been familiar with. But he adds the all-important announcement that he will be the sacrifice for them. At this pivotal point in the Jewish calendar, thoughts would already have been focused on God's deliverance from slavery, and particularly salvation from his judgment through the blood of a lamb. Notice, however, there is no lamb at this table between Jesus and his friends. This is because they met on the day of preparation. The Passover lambs were not due to be sacrificed until the following day, between noon and 3 p.m, coinciding with the hours when Jesus hung on the cross and all went dark. When Jesus died and the curtain in the temple tore in two, the last of many thousands of Passover lambs were being sacrificed at the altar, and that is when the new covenant came into being. Jesus was the ultimate sacrificial lamb, his body broken for us, and his blood poured out for us, both fulfilling and doing away with the old covenant. Those celebrating Passover knew how crucial it was that their ancestors in Egypt were protected from God's judgment by the blood of lambs, and they celebrated that deliverance. How much more critical that we trust in Jesus and the deliverance, the salvation that come through his sacrifice, and how much more we have to celebrate as a result. Undeserved grace and forgiveness, adoption into God's family, and an eternal hope that cannot be shaken. Today, let's worship our risen King, whose body was broken for us, whose blood was spilt for us, taking the punishment for our wrongdoing, but now reigning in glory.